Namaskar, good evening. Hello everyone. It's wonderful to be here with you today after a period of being away due to some health challenges. I am truly excited to reconnect and share insights with you. Today, we are diving into a subject that is both vital and transformative, the role of NGOs in women empowerment. Friends, women empowerment uh, in contemporary India is a very important subject, and a heated debate is going on among scholars on this issue. This topic resonates deeply with many of us as it touches on fundamental aspects of equality, opportunity, and social justice. In an era, women's roles and rights are increasingly acknowledged and fought for. NGOs play a pivotal role in advocating for and facilitating this change. Their impacts, their work impacts countless lives and drives significant progress toward gender equality. Today, we will explore how NGOs contribute to women empowerment through various strategies and initiatives. We will discuss impact on education, economic opportunities, healthcare, and advocacy. We will also look at real world examples to understand their success and the challenges they face. I encourage you all to think about the various ways NGOs might influence women's lives and to share any experiences or questions you might have as we go along. Let us start the discussion. So, let us begin by examining the fundamental role that NGOs play in empowering women and how their efforts shape our world. Empowerment means endowing individuals, groups, or communities with power. The draft declaration of World Summit for Social Development held at Copenhagen in March 1995 asserts uh, that in both economic and social terms, the most productive policies and investments are those which empower people to maximize their uh, capacities, resources, and opportunities. In point 23.0 of the declaration, uh, there is more focus on empowerment, particularly empowerment of women. But how can we maximize the capacities of women? A question arises, how can we maximize the capacities of women without removing the structural constraints and capacities? In fact, the issue of empowerment is linked with the issue of equality, liberty, and fraternity. The 1995 Fourth World Conference on Women in Beijing, China, said, look at the world through women's eyes. The Beijing Platform Action admits the Beijing Platform for Action admits the need of NGOs at local, regional, national, and international levels to persuade governments to fulfill their commitments. Friends, The Beijing document identified several areas of critical concerns, including the increasing burden of poverty, inequalities, inadequacies in access to education, training, healthcare, productive resources, and violence against women and the girl child. Recently, Commission of the Status of Women was held in New York from March 11 to March 22nd, 2024, just a few months back. India showed her commitment to combat gender-based violence through initiatives like Sambal and Samarthya under Mission Shakti. India uh, underscored its wavering dedication to advancing gender equality and women's empowerment on the global stage. The, the active participation of non-governmental organizations in Commission of Status of Women was very important, as non-governmental organizations have been influential in shaping the current global policy framework on women's empowerment and gender equality. The rhetoric of empowerment of women has become part of all development, thinking, and practice. Improvement in the status of women was a pledge taken by the makers of our constitution, but still the goal of equal status to women is far from being achieved. Excuse me. There is some electricity problem. Anyway, uh, it is an unquestionable fact that India has some of the best legislative frameworks mm, for protecting and improving the status of women. A series of laws have been enacted to encourage women's participation in different uh, activities of society, but basic flaws in the law and societal norms make the law ineffective in implementation. These legislative policies need to be translated into reality to improve the status of women. They need to be backed by social and political will of the people. Urbanization, spread of education, improvised healthcare, uh, improved legal rights, access to public employment, and careers have enabled some women to achieve independence, a reputation for creative work, and even position of great power. But such gains of a minority have not helped majority. The situation at the grassroots level is very different. The realities of gender inequality are responsible for pushing women into uh, many marginal situations. Therefore, it is clear that gender equality is a prerequisite for development. It is a precondition for meeting the challenge of reducing poverty, promoting sustainable development, and building good governance. Now we will talk about role of NGOs during pre-independence period. There has been a long tradition of voluntary action in India. Some people in society felt deep concern for uh, sufferings of marginalized during 19th century. Women were constantly subjected to all kinds of repression and were suffering various forms of deprivation, unnatural indoctrination, and unequal status within and outside their homes. It was such an oppressive scenario that socio-religious reform movements emerged. The most important of these movements developed within Hindu religion, that is the Brahma Samaj, Prarthana Samaj, and Arya Samaj. Raja Ram Mohan Rai, uh, the first great modern reformer whose interest was mainly in the appalling condition of women in Hindu society. Uh, he is rightly famous for his long, successful campaign for abolition of sati. I think you all know sati means self-immolation. He fought incessantly against child marriage and for female education. Ishwarchand Vidyasagar, uh, an eminent personality of 19th century, took up the widow remarriage movement and saw it to a successful conclusion in about 1856. Jyotiba Govind Phule, a very practical man, started girls' schools and a foundling home for widows' children. Swami Dayanand Saraswati attacked polytheism, idolatry, untouchability, and many superstitious beliefs and rites connected with them, and adopted the modern reform techniques. The vernacular publication, education organization, etc. Thus, the major concerns of earlier reformists, voluntary organizations were Parda, child marriages, the property rights of widows, women's education, uh, widow remarriage, and sati, etc. During the struggle for freedom, the spirit of voluntarism received a fillip. First half of the 20th century witnessed a number of women's organizations with their uh, regional and national networks imbued with Gandhian philosophy. Gandhiji involved the masses in freedom struggle and initiated genuine constructive programs such as Khadi for the upliftment of women. Uh, to Gandhi, a new social order after independence had to be created by voluntary action. Desh Sevika Sanghas were established in 1930s, preparatory to the new role of post-independence national reconstruction. Non-governmental organizations have come to occupy an important place in India, particularly since independence. The spread of NGO activities in the country, as in many other parts of the world, are manifest in a number of spheres and in a wide spectrum of programs. In welfare programs, development-oriented initiatives empowering women and weaker sections, protecting the rights of marginalized, spreading literacy and education, to name a few. The participation of NGOs, uh, NGO sector, the participation of NGO sector has been uh, impressive. After independence, uh, NGOs engaged themselves in rehabilitation programs, uh, especially of refugees after the partition of India, national reconstruction, and in relief and social work in the fields of health, education, rural development, women's empowerment, anti-untouchability programs, etc. There was a general awareness that no development strategy could be successful unless a shared vision of public sector, private sector, and voluntary sector is created. The Government of India established the Central Social Welfare Board at the center in 1953 and promoted similar bodies in states with the objectives of social development and empowerment of marginalized groups, particularly women, by providing financial assistance to voluntary organizations for implementing government sponsored programs and to promote women's voluntary organizations where needed. The major streams among voluntary organizations during this period can be categorized as A. Reformist organizations, B. Government-sponsored Mahila Mandals, C. Gandhian voluntary organizations, D. Ladies clubs, and E. Networks. Ever since the first 5-year plan was launched in 1951, the government has expressed faith in the potentialities of voluntary organizations as an important partner in the process of nation building. With the active support of government, over the years, NGOs have been playing an important role in promoting the interests of women. A large number of NGOs uh, are engaged in mobilization of women workers and their empowerment. Apart from implementing welfare measures of the government, they operate in various fields like environment, employment, health, education, agriculture, rural development, consumer justice, gender equality, and so on. National Federation of Indian Women, Self-Employed Women's Association. These are some uh, voluntary organizations for women. The National Federation of Indian Women, Self-Employed Women's Association, SEWA, a very famous NGO. Working Women's Forum in Chennai, Spark and Shakti in Mumbai, Center for Women's Development Studies in Delhi, Aditi in Patna, Chetna in Ahmedabad, Chipko movement, very popular movement to save trees, Chipko movement in the Northern Hills, Maryada in Karnataka, Taj Mahal Gram Vikas Kendra in West Bengal, Mahila Vikas Samiti and Mahila Jagran Samiti in Bihar, and several other voluntary organizations are dedicated to the cause of women's empowerment. The activities of these NGOs are diversified. These include uh, training for skill upgradation, employment, education, adult literacy, family planning, campaigns against dowry, rape, prostitution, rehabilitation of orphans, and all kinds of development programs focused on women. In recent years, due to growing feminist consciousness, there has been significant proliferation of the activities of NGOs in all parts of the country. These organizations successfully launched campaigns against social evils like dowry, rape, wife beating, alcoholism, female feticide, female infanticide, and domestic violence, and all kinds of prejudices that women face almost every day. A number of women centers were established in many cities to develop their own support structures. A number of women centers were established in many cities to develop their own support structures. Saheli, Mahila Haat, Dastakar, and Jagori in Delhi, Sakhi Kendra in Kanpur, Skills in Chennai. These are some voluntary organizations. They provided women legal aid, health care, counseling, setting up homes for battered women, assist women producers uh, of handicrafts in marketing and raising the consciousness of women groups. Although the NGOs are devising their own interventions in education and health sectors to reach women in rural areas, their efforts must be complemented with government support in order to benefit a larger population. Government sensitivity was expressed in a number of initiatives taken by different ministries. The Union Ministry of Human Resource Development, a Department of Women and Child Development, was created with a planned effort to streamline government voluntary organizations' cooperation on women and child development by looking at voluntary organizations as partners. The Women's Literacy and Organization program called Mahila Samakhya in selected districts. Mahila Samakhya is integrating both health and education into a single strategy to reach the poor women in rural Karnataka. Mahila Samakhya has introduced a new concept in the form of Nari Adalat for speedier redressal of cases of domestic violence and family disputes on the lines of family courts. It is a replication of Nyaya Panchayat, but it is a women panel of judges selected for the community. Gender equity is a burning issue in the current Indian context. It is extremely vital for socio-cultural, economic, and political reconstruction of the country, and voluntary organizations have a vital role to play in promoting it. The cause of gender inequality emerges from socio-economic structure of the society where women are essentially viewed as inferior sex. Indian parents prefer a male child to female one because they assume that daughters will walk away with their dowry and thereafter wash themselves of any responsibility for the care of their parents. Moreover, daughters will never prove cost effective just like a son. Famous social worker Radha Bhatt is of the opinion that once society becomes aware of gender issues, they themselves would demand change. It is sad, uh, or it is sad truth that women contribute about two-thirds of work done in the world, yet earn only one-tenth of the world's income. Once again, I want to repeat this sentence. It is sad truth that women contribute about two-thirds of the work done in the world, yet earn only one-tenth of the world's income. According to Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations, women in rural areas grow at least 50% of the world's food. Therefore, it is clear that gender equality is a prerequisite for development. As former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan has stated, gender equality is more than a goal in itself. It is a precondition for meeting the challenge of reducing poverty, promoting sustainable development, and building good governance. The process of enhanced awareness and action already initiated uh, in 1970s gained momentum, resulting in a number of vital measures for gender equity during last 5 decades, such as uh, towards equality report of the Committee on Status of Women in India. It was introduced in 1974. International Women's Year 1975, followed by International Women's Decade. National Perspective Plan for Women 1998 to 2000. Women Shram Shakti report of the National Commission on Self-Employed Women and Women in the Informal Sector 1998. The World Bank report Gender and Poverty in India, Issues and Opportunities Concerning Women in Indian Economy, Setting up of National Commission for Women 1992. uh, Reservation of one-third of total elective seats of members as well as chairpersons for women in panchayats and municipalities. Establishment of a fund called Rashtriya Mahila Kosh by Department of Women and Child Development to provide need-based credit facilities to poor women 1993. Establishment of uh, a fund called Rashtriya Mahila Kosh by Department of Women and Child Development to provide need-based credit facilities to poor women. Beijing Conference 1995. The Constitution 81st Amendment Bill 1996 for similar reservation for women in Parliament and state legislature. Enhanced sensitization of government and international funding agencies, resulting in their increased support for women's empowerment initiatives. Effective women's anti-liquor struggle leading to total prohibition in Andhra Pradesh and Haryana. The 47th session of UN Commission on the Status of Women, March 2003. Creation of Act Against Domestic Violence. The uh, Ministry of Women and Child Development is implementing various schemes, programs like to bring women into mainstream and empower them. Swadhar Grih Scheme 2001-2 to prevent women from exploitation and to support their survival and rehabilitation. One Stop Center and universalization of women helpline. Ujjwala Scheme 2016, Beti Bachao Beti Padhao 2015, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana 2017, Mahila Shakti Kendra 2017, Mission Shakti 2021-22, Integrated Women Power Program, etc. are some of the schemes launched by the present government for safety, security, and empowerment of women. Recently, the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha both passed Women's Reservation Bill 2023 120th Constitutional Amendment Bill or Nari Shakti Vandan Abhiyan. Uh, India has a vibrant and growing NGO sector, greatly facilitated by ample space for voluntary action provided by its domestic system. NGOs have been relatively more successful in reaching out to the disadvantaged sections of society as well as in generating and sustaining active people's participation due to their distinguishing qualities including flexibility, innovativeness, efficiency and success. However, diversity in this country of subcontinental dimensions, rural to urban and rich poor divide, deep urban and western influences on women's movement, and the complexity and range of subject of gender equity have been an integral part of the Indian setting since the independence. Though the NGOs are effective in mobilizing and empowering marginalized groups, one should look critically at the effectiveness of the roles of NGOs for people's empowerment and their interface with the government. The objectives of NGOs are sometimes vague and they suffer from the problem of mismanagement and lack of sustainability. They fail to reach over 80% of the 1.3 billion estimated to the living in extreme poverty in the developing countries. But notwithstanding certain limitations, there is no denying the fact that a large section of NGOs has done substantial work for the empowerment of marginalized groups, particularly women. Women's movement in India, like environmental movement, has been relatively more effective and it has been growing stronger and stronger. So friends, thank you very much for hearing patiently. If you enjoyed the discussion, please subscribe my channel and like the video and share with your friends. Soon we will meet again. Goodbye.